AITA for telling my wife that my son will always come before her? My 32 meters wife, 30F, is concerned over our financial situation. I think her concern is misplaced, but I told her my income isn't going to change anytime soon, so I asked her what we wanted to do about it. She suggested that when my son, she is his stepmother, turns 18, we should start charging him rent. I immediately shut down that idea and told her we would have to think of something else because there's no way I'm charging my son to live in our house. She said it was reasonable since I was paying most of his college tuition, but I told her there are alternatives. I suggested we stop eating out so much because it's $50 $100 per meal, but she didn't like that idea. I suggested other things which she rejected, so I told her I'm open to suggestions, but my son isn't going to be our source of income. She told me I should think more of her than my son. That made me a little mad, so I told her my son will always come before her. She called me an asshole after that and hasn't talked to me since. Did I overstep? NTA. If she can't cut out eating out so much, there's no way the next step is charge an 18-year-old rent. Is she working? Can she get a better job? You had a kid at 14? But NTA. You did right by your son, and your current wife needs to adjust her attitude. Maybe look for a better job herself if she wants a higher income household. NTA. I'd be suspicious of any parent who thought of others before they thought of their children. Even a spouse. It's great that you are able and willing to support your son. Contrary. Your wife sucks for rather having an 18-year-old student pay rent than skipping some restaurant visits. NTA. You don't charge your kids rent. You just don't. If she's that concerned about finances, then she can cut spending or find a job for herself. It's hypocritical that she's living rent-free, but wants to charge your son rent. NTA. Yeah. Her seeing your son as potential income is a bit troubling. NTA. She was arguing she'd rather charge your child rent than eat less takeaway. Like, what? What you said was kind of an move, but completely justified, and I would have said worse. You don't marry someone with kids then expect them to put you first, you just don't. NTA. So your unemployed wife is raising hackles at your barely legal son, who is somehow supposed to hold down a job and study full-time so she can continue to afford to eat out. Really? If you're short on money, there are two options. Cut down on expenses, or the unemployed partner finds a job. Your son has a job, he's studying. NTA. She's trying to force out your son. You should talk to your son about what else she's said or done to him that you don't know about. He could be keeping silent just so you could be happy. The audacity to tell an 18-year-old who is in college and partially paying his tuition to pay rent, when his own stepmother isn't contributing to the income, is astounding. NTA. But I sort of think you are missing the point. You say she's a SOM, so you have younger kids with her, right? She doesn't want your son there. We need more money. Let's charge your son. No, we can't cut expenses from A, B, C, or D. We need to charge son rent. She has no alternative. She has no compromise. She has no suggestions. She wants to make it hard for your kid to live in your home. It might be time for a talk about more than money. You might also want to ensure you've provided for your son in your will if you haven't already. Don't assume she will help him with what's left to her. NTA. Your wife wants a college kid to pay rent to live in his own home so she can eat out more often. It's not even like you guys are in financial dire straits. She just wants your son to bankroll her lifestyle. Sounds like she needs to get a job. NTA. The root of the problem is overspending. Her fix to have your son finance her is kinda ridiculous. You were right to look over the books and find ways to cut back. I may get a lot of hate for this. Who knows, but here are my thoughts. Kids don't ask to be put in this world completely out of their hands. To add to that, they get no say in what kind of household they're entering. While countries have their own ways of legalizing social movements and parental decision-making, we can all agree that it comes down to parents unless it breaches the regular, legal, social constructs put in place. With that said, when you choose to have kids, just because one turns 18 doesn't mean you can kick them out. Have them carry the load that should be ascribed to the parents, etc. To add to that, when you choose to have kids, your priority should be the family unit, not just singular members. And so, I would be on the view that investing in your kids would not only set them up for the future, but in return, while you may not expect it at all, your kids would take care of you. As someone who has parents, I acknowledge the investments and sacrifices my parents made for me, and I prioritize taking care of them even more if it's within my means. So the simple idea of giving up meals out seems like a no-brainer to give your kid a leg up. I'd even argue that there's an even greater emphasis on setting them up sooner than later given the current financial, socio-political, and everything else climate. The idea of making your own way is very difficult for younger generations. They were handed a pretty sty hand. I commend you for your position. NTA. Your wife, however, needs to do some soul searching as to the kind of parent she wants to be. NTA. Your wife doesn't work. You eat out at $50,100 a meal. Your wife is concerned about your finances but wants to not stop eating out. Unless you have small children, your wife needs a job. Or she can stop complaining about money and you need to look at where the money is going. So your wife prefer to charge your son rent instead of eating out less? WTF is wrong with her? NTA. NTA. It seems like your wife only wants to charge your son rent at this point. The fact that there are so many other options and she doesn't want to do that. Of course, that's your child, that's gonna come first, that's both of yours priority. Talk to your wife about this. If she doesn't change her mind, then you need to put your foot down and fight. NTA. But she is. She might think after he turns 18 her role as stepmother ends. But it doesn't. Your son is your family. There's several good reasons for charging an 18-year-old rent. Financing their parents' lifestyle is not one of them. NTA. NTA. I would normally say it's better left unsaid that one's child comes before the significant other. Because this is a given and everyone knows it. So there's no need to keep stating it openly and rubbing the other person's nose in it. But in this case, I think she pushed you. Demanding rent from your 18-year-old is not her decision to make. And she made a point of forcing a comparison between her and your son. She should have known she would lose that battle. My parents charged me rent. It was a couple $100 a month at most. But they gave it back to me all at once when I moved out and bought my first house. It was a pleasant surprise and I'm very grateful they did that for me because it helped out a lot. Anyways, NTA. You suggested more than reasonable alternatives and she's being ridiculous to not consider those options.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic AITA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.